just talking to people. You know what I'm saying? It's conversations, and I'm good at that. I have a natural gift from God to be able to communicate with people and relate to people. And I learned so much from talking to people. The best thing that I ever learned in life is if you listen more than you speak, you'll always be able to understand somebody. And one thing that I learned is that we are much more alike than we are different. Just make that more complicated. Sitting on the steps, feeling no feeling. Welcome everybody to another episode of the Live Your Purpose podcast. I'm your host, John Morgan Jr. Before we jump into who our guest is, I want to spend a special shout out to everybody who's been supporting the podcast. Episodes 2 through 10 are available on YouTube. Episodes 1 through 10 are available on all your audio streaming platforms, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, Spotify. Please go support the podcast, like, subscribe to the YouTube page, give me your feedback, give me everything that you like and dislike about the podcast. Trust and believe your criticism is not going to break me, so I don't really give a damn what you have to say. I'm just interested to know what y'all got to say. Also, we want to, send prayers and condolences to everybody being affected, by coronavirus and COVID-19. All the essential employees, man, our prayers and our condolences go out to you guys, anybody who's lost loved ones during this time. We want to spend a special shout out to those individuals. I also want to send a prayer out to Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and Sean Reed, the individuals who've been ruthlessly gunned down over these last few weeks under the hands of police brutality. And, so our prayers and our condolences go out to those families, everybody who's been affected by those deaths. So without further ado, man, I'm gonna get into the intro. Who we got on the pod today, man? We were just kind of reminiscing a little bit before the episode started. Is that I said this for a couple different people on this podcast, but there's been individuals who I knew that I wanted to highlight when I started this podcast, and this person right here is definitely one of those people, man. We used to have conversations in pre-podcast land. I used to tell him like, yo, man, I think I'm gonna go ahead and do that. He was always supportive, man, giving me guidance. And what's so crazy is, man, once him and I connected, we just hit it off, man, and established our own relationship. And this dude has a unbelievable story, man. I'm really excited for him to be able to share with y'all, and really be able to get to learn some more about him and really be able to highlight his story. So without further ado, we're gonna get into my guy. Mr. Darryl Brown, man, he's the owner and founder of Midwest Kids and Darryl Brown. DB, yeah. What's good with you?
What's good with you, bro? Thank you for having me, bro. This is fire, bro.
Hey, man, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. It's a long time coming, man. I appreciate you coming out, man.
Definitely, man. I'm glad. Thank you for having me, man. It's like, we already threw it out between each other, but excuse us right now. We looking like kids, man. We stand inside right now.
That's a fact. We social distance from the barbers. You feel me?
Yeah, you feel me?
It's everywhere, man. You know what I'm saying? But it's all good though, man. We'll be back in no time, man.
Yep, definitely.
So the way I want to do it, man, like I want to really be able to cover your whole story, man. You know what I'm saying? Again, like I said, previously, like your story is one of a kind, and I already know that the majority of people don't really know.
Yeah,
also your story like that. So let's start at the beginning, man. Tell me, I know you originally from Ohio, the Midwest. Tell me what life was like for young DB, for young Darryl Brown, growing up in Toledo. What was life like for you as a youngster, man?
Man, young DB. Well, I'm from Toledo, Ohio. My mom, born and raised, all my life living there. My first love was track and field. Like I was into sports. My mom played point guard in high school. You know what I mean? My dad played football and ran track in high school. So like the first love I ever had was like track and field. I was like 4th grade. I fell in love with just like running. That was my thing or whatever. So like all through like elementary and like high school and junior high, like I ran track, played football. I went to college on a track scholarship to Vincennes University. Which is a JUCO in Indiana, and I started running track for them too. But yeah, that was pretty much me. Like just a normal kid growing up in the hood. You know what I'm saying? Trying to make it out. Same old story that we all have to a certain extent. yeah, just kind of like chilling with my friends and hanging out with my friends as we do. But yeah, track and field was my first love. My first love. That's kind of how I even started to travel. Like that was like running track and like traveling all around the country for track meets and stuff. That was like my first glimpse and experience of like getting out of Toledo. I can honestly say, like, not to sound cliche, like, oh, sports saved my life, you know what I mean? But literally, if I never would have like been running track and playing football, I probably would have never left Toledo like up until I was like an adult. Because no other avenue of my life, you know, like we ain't take family vacations and go out of town for family reunion. I ain't, you know, so when I think about it, no other avenue of my life presented the opportunity to go somewhere unless it was like Detroit, because I'm from Toledo and it's like right there, or Columbus, or like Sandusky. You get what I'm saying? Like, for example, the first time all my times I ever came to Cleveland was on my own in my adult life. My parents, or I never ever came there as a child, or, you know, experience like driving out of the city and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I remember one time my dad was like a truck driver growing up. You know what I mean? My dad was at Jeep for like 20 years, but he was a truck driver too. And I remember one time he let me ride with him one time in Cincinnati. He had a run where he went to Cincinnati and picked something up and came back. And I rode with him, and I thought we would drove to Africa. I was like, oh my God, I'm never doing this again. I remember I was like 10, I flipped out on him. Like, this is stupid. Why did I agree to this? I'm never doing this again.
And y'all only drive about 5-6 hours, man.
5-6 hours, man. I was sick at him. Like, why did I agree to this? Like, oh my God. Like, and we was only going to Cincinnati. So when I got older and putting that all in perspective, I was like, you wildin'. you were wildin'. Yeah, but yeah, my growing up was my childhood upbringing was pretty cool. I was blessed and managed to stay out of trouble. You get what I'm saying? Like, experienced a lot, you know, seen a lot. Didn't come from, my parents wasn't the poorest, but they wasn't like the wealthiest either by no means, you know, or none like that. So we just got it how we live, you know what I mean? But track and field was like the first time that I like fell in love with something as a kid, or was passionate about something that was like, I was like, oh, this is mine. Like I could see life scales, you know what I'm saying? I thought I was going to, you know, we all think we going pro, but I really thought I was going pro because I was nice. You know what I'm saying?
Right. What events did you run?
I ran the relays, the 100-meter, 200-meter, but the main race was the 400 meters. You know what I'm saying? That's how I know, like, Ted Ginn Jr. from Cleveland, and, you know, a bunch of different people from Toledo, like Fred Davis and all that. Like, we all come from, like, the same class. Like, I met these guys, like, running track in high school. You know what I mean?
That's crazy, man. And you ended up making to like the Junior Olympics or something in track, didn't you?
Yeah. We did nationals all over. Like, it's just crazy. Like, I remember like being in the back of my dad's car, and we just driving all over, driving from Toledo all the way to Tennessee to race some motherfuckers. Like, you know what I'm saying? To race some people. Like, you know what I mean? When you really think about it, that's how it is. Like, my dad was like driving me all over. Like, we pulling up, we gonna race them. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
hey, so did any of your people, was they? I know you say your mom, you know, she hooped, she was a point guard, but what about your pops there? You know, your uncles and stuff. Anybody else come up playing sports and stuff like that too?
Yeah, my pops was real dope in football. He played football. Okay. He ran track and stuff at Matt Cumbers, a high school in Toledo. And my mom went to high school. She balled out for Libby High School. It's crazy because both of their high schools today don't even exist no more.
Yeah.
They both like tore down and gone. It's crazy how life work like that. Our whole school. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I resonate, you know what I'm saying, with that story of like, listen, if it wasn't for sports, I would have never traveled outside of Akron, like at all.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like some of my earliest experiences of getting on a bus, like, you know what I'm saying, packing my bags, go somewhere for like, you know what I'm saying, a weekend.
Having
sports related.
Like sports was like the first thing that like taught me structure, like dealing with
Absolutely.
a team, having
100%.
a time schedule, having to like rely on somebody and be somewhere. Like, you get what I'm saying? That was the first, sports was like, that was like the first part of my life that like had me like where I had to deal with that, where like someone was relying on me. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, that taught me that structure. I feel like if I didn't have that, I definitely I feel like life would have still worked out, but I definitely would have like lacked in some areas. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right, yeah,
Team and like
100%.
that was the way that I like met other people. Like I knew other
Mm-hmm.
people from other cities and other places and stuff like that versus just my neighborhood and my school district. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I had one of my guys on the podcast last week, who owns a business here in Akron, and him and I were just talking about, the impact of like playing sports at a young age, and I was telling, Sierra, like, listen, as Messiah gets older, like, I value him being in sports. Like, there's something
Yeah,
special and like important about young kids, especially young Black boys,
yeah.
being in sports, learning values, learning structure,
It's funny
learning
that
how to
you
build
say that.
relationship, learning how to like get over adversity. Like it's that shit is important for real, man.
Definitely. It's funny that you say that because I always wonder, like, like I like the whole homeschooling idea. You get what I'm
Mhm.
saying? But
Mhm.
then my always biggest like, I can't do that is because of sports. Cause I'd be like,
Mhm.
sports and just interacting with other kids. Like, okay,
Mhm.
if I was like my kid gonna like, whether she female or male, like she don't even gotta be in the sports, but just gonna be able to like adapt and like react and be around other kids. Like, you get what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
That was the thing that like that kind of raised me a lot. Like my coaches are like was like second set of fathers and parents for me, like growing
That's
up.
a fact.
You know
That's
what
a
I'm
fact.
saying? Like it was like uncles that I never had,
Mhm.
fathers
Mhm.
that I never had, like stuff like that. And it was like for me too, as a Black kid growing up in the inner city, like some of my coaches was the first introduction I had of like other races
Right.
because they
Right.
was other
Right.
races or they was other races living in the suburbs or like living in other parts of town or their kid was a different race, but I was hanging out at their house, eating dinner at their house, and they was picking us up. So that was like even the first interaction. I was like, oh yeah, that's Coach Such son, or oh that's Coach Such. If I didn't have that, I don't even know where that example would have came until like later on in life. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, that's why for real, man, when sports is done right and the essence of it, it really gets to like the root of like, man, this racism shit is stupid. You know what I'm saying? Because when we all on the same
1,000%.
page and like can achieve the same goal, it's so much love there. There's so much that we can agree on, so much that we can see eye to
1,000%.
eye.
Right.
So I agree wholeheartedly. You know what I'm saying? With what you referring to, and the impact of playing sports at a young age, man. You know what I'm saying? So it's good that you say that.
Yeah.
As a youngster, I also noticed you seen the value in like, your mother was fly. You always paid, you know what I'm saying, attention to your pops, like, you know what I'm saying, having
Yeah.
his gear from the auto industry. Like you
So,
said, he worked for Jeep. He always wears his red wing boots. Like I
yeah.
always, you know what I'm saying, know you had like a value in that. Talk to me a little bit about like, seeing your parents, dress a certain way and like how that had an
Yeah.
impact on you as a youngster.
It's crazy because like, okay, so in present day, I got two clothing brands. One is Midwest Kids. That's like, gym clothes, hoodies, sweatsuits, stuff like that. And then I got another brand that's my namesake brand, Darryl Brown. That's more like structured, cut and sew pants, like, workwear inspired, Dickies inspired. But when I think about it, it's really a play off my parents. Because my mom growing up, she always was like fly with the sweatsuits. She had all the sweatsuits, her chain and whatever. Like even still to this day, my mom was coming through sweatsuit down with the fly kicks on. My mom stayed with all the J's. Like this year when they just announced the Jordan documentary, my mom posted a picture on IG of all her J's stacked up in boxes. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like so she's serious with it. But then my dad, like he more like hard nosed, like a manly man. My dad the type that be like, oh, I ain't wearing no jersey with another man name on my back. Like, you get what I'm saying? He
Facts.
factory worker. He went to the military. Like he was fighting growing up in the hood. Like so he straight hard nosed, like super goofy and funny, but he don't you know what I'm saying? He
No,
don't
no
play no games.
bullshit. No
Yeah,
bullshit.
so he was
Mhm.
always like boots, Danner boots, Red Wing boots with the Dickies, with the Levi's. Like I used to call him like I used to grow up looking at him like he was weird. Like, yo, he got like 60 pair of Levi's. He dressed like a superhero. He wore the same thing over and over. You know what I mean? Over and over and over. He just real like hard nosed. Like summertime, he got the shorts on. with a hoodie and some boots, like outside in the yard, you know, all that. He's super manly man. And then my mom, more finesse, like athletic, sweatsuit, stuff like that. So growing up, that kind of was like my DNA, like watching my dad do that, like, you know, how he was, like, I always tell my dad now to this day, like, he was like ahead of his time, like real minimalistic. Like my dad's bedroom was like super minimal. He just have his bed in there, the TV, and then a cupboard. I mean, like a chest sitting at the headboard. I mean, at the foot of the bed. That was it. Like real minimal. But then today, that's everything that my dad is. All my life is like in today's world. It's like the essence of everything. Like when he lived
he was ahead of his time.
Yeah, the way he eat is like like popular now. The way he like all his the way he dress is popular now. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with my parents. My mom, she is, you know, her style is to me like what she is in my life. It's just effortless. It's just always there. It's timeless. Like my mom always like fly. Like literally, like I got on my mom the other day. Like I'm like, what you doing? She's like, I'm on my way to the grocery store. I'm like, Mom, you can't be out here. You got a mask on. She sent me a picture. She hoodie down with the mask. She got the glove. She flyer than me. I'm like, see, that's where I get it from. Like,
right.
Like, you ain't even regular right now.
Right.
You 52. You need to chill.
I'm flying the pandemic.
Yeah. Like you 52. You need to chill. You out here like you 17. Like
right.
Relax. You know, so you know what I mean. That all of my inspirations pretty much come from Toledo. I always like everything I do. I just kind of like tap back into them. So my mother and my father definitely like to your question, your point was like the heavy inspiration in my life. Like watching them is like literally my daily routine, not my present day routine, how I dress and how I move and stuff like that. You know.
Yeah, that's dope. Talk to me about, because ultimately, like, you know, you ended up evolving into being an entrepreneur. You know what I'm saying? That's you know what you do for a living today. You know what I'm saying? In fashion, you also be an entrepreneur. Did you have any, you know, early influences of entrepreneurs, whether you knew it back then or not? But is there anybody that you can kind of look back on like, damn, I seen this person kind of like, you know, taking matters into their own hands, getting how they live, like really making a living for themselves. And the reason I ask that though is because in the Midwest is like, it's its own place, man. At least for me, in my experience, like I didn't really have a lot of like entrepreneur influences right in front of me. You know, it was either go to school or it was to get you a factory job, get good benefits, and you retire and die. That's it. Take care of your family, and that's it.
Like honestly, it's like my mom and my father, you know, they had me when they was 18, so they was kids. Raising kid. You know how it go. So it's like. And they both did well for themselves, like the best they can. But I like honestly, it wasn't until I got into like more adult where I started like running into like real like entrepreneurs. You know what I'm saying? Growing up, it was like street entrepreneurs. That was it. You know what I'm saying? The homies.
It's value in that too, though.
Yeah. Like I'm saying, like that was like my vision of entrepreneur. I'm like, oh, homie in the street, like he having it, like he all these houses now. He doing this now. He got, you know, of course the cars and the flash and stuff was there, but I was pretty much the same way. Like any other kid from the Midwest, like my mom raised me like, yo, you gonna stay out of trouble. You ain't gonna have no kids, and then you gonna graduate from high school. You ain't gotta go to college. You gonna get a job. Or you going to the military, like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, that's how my dad was. My dad, I remember when I first was like, I'm trying to get a track scholarship and all that. My dad was like, man, I think you should go to the service. You should go to the military. I'm like, what? Like, no.
What branch was your pops in?
My dad went to the Army. My dad went to the Army. But him
I did too.
But like him and his best friends did. That's what they did.
That's what they did, bro. Yeah.
My dad did the same thing. My dad got out of high school. He tried to do the normal life for a little bit, got in trouble in the streets, messing around, doing nothing. And then he was like, I'm out. And they went to him and all his homies went to the military. Like, so he thinking like, you know, he giving me the game that he knows. So he like, man, you should go out of college. I mean, out of high school, he like, man, you should go to the service. You should go to the military. Like, that's gonna set you up, man. X, Y, and Z. My mom, she ain't give down by no college or nothing either. She was like, man, just get a job. Don't get in no trouble and don't have no kids. That was her whole thing. Like everything after that was like on me. I feel like through my journey, I've like educated and opened my parents' eyes and showing them things that they never seen because my mom didn't get a license until her late 30s. Like you get what I'm saying? It was just like things that they never seen that I done seen that they're able to see through me. Like I lived in New York 10 years. I'm based in Los Angeles now for like 4 years. Like had I not lived in these places, my mom probably would have never been to New York. You get what I'm saying? Like my mom, I was born on July 4th. Like on one of my birthdays while I was living in New York, my mom came and we went to the Statue of Liberty together. My mom probably would have never been able to do that or see that had it not been for me moving away to do that or coming to Los Angeles or even to like think outside of Toledo and think bigger because she got a kid that's like doing stuff and like doing stuff she would have never thought, like, you know, traveling around the world. My mom ain't never even had a passport before. She like, what are you talking about? Same thing with my dad, except for when he was in the military. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, I feel like through me that I'm doing right by them to take it a step further or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like I've inspired them. When I first moved away from New York, moved away from Toledo to New York, I'm working for the railroad, driving train, you know, got a cool job, good job for the Midwest, you know. And I'm like, my mom was like, you made it. You got a really good job. You don't got no kids. Ooh, just stay like this forever. You know what I'm saying? Right. And when I was like, you know, I'm through with all this, I'm about to go get on some fashion stuff. My parents was like devastated. They thought like, oh, like, you know, you about to throw your life away and gonna come home like beaten and broken. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, right. Oh, you about to throw it all away. You gonna go be a loser. So for me to do everything that I did, it's inspired and changed them. I could see how they implement it in their life. Like they living better and taking more chances and like some of the stuff they be saying to me, I was like, for real? You think that or you gonna do that? Like, okay, that's what's up. Like, you know, but I could tell this from like them accepting me more and right. Learning, you know what I'm saying, and learning more through me. Like, oh, okay, yeah, okay. Like,
yeah.
Because they only, and I can't blame them, they only knew what they knew. You know what I'm saying? They, my parents have took it to think about where I just explained where they was at, where they at in life and as great as they were, just think they took it even further than their parents.
Right. Right.
Like, you get what I'm saying? So, you know, I can't fault them. Like, I love my parents. They did their thing. But, yeah, like, they inspired all my moves I'm doing today. You know what I mean?
Hey, so what ended up happening when you did go to the JUCO? Why didn't you stick it out and, like, you know what I'm saying, really try to make it work and go to a bigger school? Like, what ended up happening when you went there?
Because, like, real reality set in. Like, I was fired. Like, I got wheels, like, you know what I'm saying, a quarter mile, 400. I get down to a 48. In college, got down to a 48, high 47.
That's moving. That's
moving. But it's like, and this is not to discourage any other kid that's seeing this, you know what I'm saying? It was more so for me, like, I got to a point where it's like, I reached my full potential. Like, you get what I'm saying? I knew, like, especially when you get into college and all that, it's, as far as the fun factor, it switches. It's like, you got boosters. It's a business.
Talk about it.
It's more
Talk
like,
about it.
You almost like a pro in training. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like, you know, when you're in high school, they're like, oh, we got prep school for college. It's like prep pro. Like, you get what I'm saying? So it's like, when I got in college, it turned into a whole business. I was traveling, and I was running with, like, some of the fastest guys ever. And then when you start to, like, you know, it come to a point where I really, and it was tough for me, too. Like, I really had to, like, be real with myself and be like, yo, like, okay, I pushed this dream to the limit. Like, I thought I was really going to make it to the, like, Olympics. Like, people would really be like, man, I was going to make it to the NBA, and I did everything I was supposed to do, but I just didn't make it. Like, I thought I was going to make it to, like, the Olympics. I really, really thought I was going to be at go right to that level. But it's got to a point where I had to face the music. Like, yo, like, I'm fast, but it's like, it's some niggas is rolling out here, boy. Like, it's some people out here, like, tracking, like, world-class speed, like, you get what I'm saying? Like, just to think, Olympic trials, for people that don't even know, like, even before you get to the finals, you probably went through, like, 4 or 5 rounds of prelims. You have to keep running them times over and over. And like you said, like, that 47 I just threw out there, in 2019 alone, it probably was like 500 kids ran that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, for Toledo, from where I'm from, tapped out my potential. I took that dream as far as I can go, so I had to let it go. You know what I mean? And then I started to, like, when I was in college, I got to a crossroads in my life where I grew up too. I started, like, seeing money. wanting to start having money, wanting to start having a car, like things that I really didn't care about when I was in high school, because I was in my high school phase. Like it was just about being a kid, living with moms, like hanging out on the weekends, going to to the dances, and going through the whole high school thing. But when I got to college, I more so wanted to like transition. I started transitioning to being like a young adult. I was like, man, I kind of want my own apartment. I want a crib. Like I don't want to live on campus no more, man. I want a car. I want a bank account, man. I want this. I want that. Like, I want a job. Man. I need to get a job, man. Forget class. Like, you get what I'm saying? It was like a whole transition with my priorities and like my out view on things. And I was like, man, I'm not about to go pro in track. Track ain't about to be paying me and paying my rent and taking care of me. Like, okay, so let me just get into something else. You know what I'm saying? And that's when I kind of like, all right, I need to like chase something else. That was kind of like I made the decision like my sophomore year of college. Like this is it. I ain't running no more. Like I need to get with it. I'm about to be 21. You know what I'm saying? Like I got to figure out something else. Like man, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a reality that I think that a lot of athletes definitely face, and I don't think a lot of that's really necessarily highlighted. And for real, even a lot of athletes who go on to like major D1 schools and like successful on like a major college level, majority of those kids don't make it to the league, man.
No,
you know what I'm saying? You talking about 21, 22. What the hell I'm gonna do with my life now? You know what I'm saying? This is all I've been working for this up to this point. I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do.
That's a fact. And it's like two things too. It's like most of the stars that we love and look up to today, we didn't know who they was in college.
Right.
Who was they?
Right.
Most of the guys that was college phenoms, they not nothing. They still big name on campus. They probably got a library in their name, probably on the coaching staff now, big alumni guy. That's it. Like got a street. You know what I'm saying? That whole thing. So yeah, man, it was just like yeah, it was different altogether. I was like, okay, let me pivot and start trying to. And then you got to think about it too, like, sports like outside of like baseball, the basics, baseball, football, and basketball. Every other sport after that is a niche market. Like you get what I'm saying, like a niche thing, like track and field. Trying to go pro in track and field, like a lot of people don't even know what that means. Like you get what I'm saying, unless you done got picked up by like Nike or Adidas, one of the big shoe companies or a sponsorship, you ain't pro. How you getting around and running in all these meets? How you training? How you paying your coach? It's like boxing and then like all these other like niche sports where it's really like it's even tougher. Like the chance to make it factor really dropped, and it's a young man sport. Like like I'm talking about like super young, like swimming. Like most people, and like if you like 27, 28 years old, you consider old in track and field. 25, you like, oh yeah, he about to be done. Like track and field is really like 17 to like 24. Boom. Like as far as like the running, like you know what I mean. You might have some guys that stretch their career to like 29, 30, but that mean they was like big dogs.
Yeah,
like,
they was they the anomalies though.
Exactly. Other than that, it's like you might have like one Usain Bolt and like two through his career of greatness, it probably was like 2,500 other greats or so-called big fishes. Like they never meant nothing to nobody. You know what I'm saying?
So what ends up happening? What ends up taking place after you know what I'm saying? You ended up hanging up track. Do you just come back to Toledo, and that's when you end up starting to work for the
so I come
the
home,
automotive companies and stuff?
Yeah, so like what I did was I started switching up my major because I was majoring in like first I was majoring in like business out of high school. I'm like, yeah, I want to major in business, and I got to school and I was like, nah, like that's gonna take up too much of my time. I really want to focus on school. I'm trying to just get through because I thought I was gonna do this whole athlete thing or whatever. So I switched my major to fire science. Like you study to do like learn how to do like pyrotechnics. Like
you said fire science?
Yeah.
What the hell is that?
Bro, it's like where you can literally like you go into it you can do like pyrotechnics. They teach you basically like all like you can go into like doing the firefighter thing, like for example, like in a firefighter thing, you got firefighters that are like firefighters, but then you got firefighters that when they got their degrees and stuff, and they like the arsonists. They like the more, you know what I'm saying? Because they got they background, almost like how a cop you can become a cop off the street. You don't need to go to the school to get a criminology degree and stuff like that. You know,
okay. I got you.
People go to get a degree in criminal background because then they want to become like a judge one day. They want to be like official, like lieutenant, sergeant, like you get what I'm saying, stuff like that. So I went into that major because I'm thinking like, okay, that was more hands-on. My classes was like less like book studying and more like hands-on, like visual, like a lot of like assignments that's just done in class. I'm like, this is perfect. It won't be so much stress on me to like be like, man, I had to study and I had to do this and you know what I'm saying? So that was like my outlook on it. So I come home and then I transferred to a community college in Toledo called Owens Community College. And that's where I figured out they had like a firefighter academy that was like kind of like in partnership with like Toledo firefighter thing or whatever, but not like a program where you go there, graduate, and you get on with TPD. You know what I'm saying? You just kind of go there and get all your certificates and whatever. So I went and did that whole thing. Man, I'm out there trying to do volunteer fire. That's when I learned that whole thing that like, oh, like to get on as like, you know, the police force and like, you know, the firefighter thing, that's all based on like real like city budgets and like when they gonna decide to do a hiring program, when they not, you know, so on and so on. Like it's not as simple. That was for me, that was like my level of learning period. Like, oh, so they was for real when they say you don't just go to college and get out just because you got degrees and certificates, you just get a job somewhere. Like somebody just gonna immediately hire you. That's when I had like that rude awakening, like, oh, I'm still kind of normal, like just out here. I'm getting all this going to school.
Right.
My homies have still got better jobs than me, and they ain't none of that. Like, you know what I mean? So I was like going through that whole phase, like trying to like, you know, be in school still, switching my major again, and then like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna get a degree in this thing, I'm gonna try this and all that, but getting older, like, okay, now I'm like 21 now, you know, I'm back home, but I'm like staying with my dad now. You know what I'm saying?
Also, Pops was on you. That's a different energy staying with Pops than Moms for sure.
It was different. It was the first time I ever did that in my life. Like,
and
I was raised living with moms all my life. You know, I go stay over. You know, we go stay the night over with Pops.
Right.
You don't live here. You know what I'm saying? I might even set trip on you because I'm going back home.
Right. Yeah.
Like this part of my life, come home out of college, I'm with Dad now. I'm like, so I'm like getting used to his whole flow, going through this transition of life, and he working at Jeep Chrysler. He been here like 20 years, you know, so he putting his boots on every morning. He moving different, like he cutting the grass at 7 a.m. on the weekends, you know. He moving different, like like he ain't accepting like nobody sleeping in late, you know, that whole night. So he used to be like on me, whatever. So I come home, I'm like living with him, he on me, but still trying to help me, give me game and all that different stuff, like what jobs, like that's how I even started. I worked a little time at like GM. I'm like making fun of Monte Carlos and stuff. I'm working at Chrysler for a little bit. I'm working at this place called like all these different little odd jobs, like Norplast and Powertrain, all these weird jobs I'm thinking of now. Like, wow, I'm working at a steel mill where I'm like controlling like cranes and like putting like steel slabs, steel beams on the back of a semi truck. I'm doing like all these like little odd jobs, trying to like figure myself out. And then my dad was like coaching on the weekends. He was like coaching my little brother's like little league basketball team. And his homie Clarence, who was like his assistant, helping him out, you know, because his son was playing too. He was like helping him, and my dad was like the dads that was like, oh, we gonna, you know, coaching the team or whatever. But my dad worked for Chrysler, and then Clarence worked for the railroad. You get what I'm saying? So one day, typical fashion, we ride home. My dad talking mess about me, like, you need to get a job, and I'm trying to tell you know, hit me with one of them. Clarence,
right.
Oh, we got a hiring session coming up. You know, yeah,
they really probably they had that already planned out for real.
Like,
they
probably put the application in. I can't say no. Like, you know, I'm
right.
I'm gonna be there. What time?
Right.
I'm in the back like, what time I go to? Okay, so, but I already in my head, I'm like, nigga, work for the railroad. Like, how you even get that job? What are you talking about?
Right.
So I go to like they had like a hiring session at like the Comfort Inn Hotel, and you know everybody comes sign their name, and it's like it was like 80 of us. We like sit like it was like 80 of us sitting in like this ballroom, and we all had to take like this IQ test, right? You know, we had to watch all these little presentations about the railroad. Yeah, so my dad friend tell me about the job. He like, yo, we got the hiring session. Little Darryl be at the time, you know, be here at this day, whatever. I show up. I kid you not. No exaggeration. I show up. It's like 80 men in there. And I'm literally the only black dude in there.
And,
wow.
Probably one of the youngest.
No, look, this is no exaggeration because I'm thinking about it because I want to use my words right. No exaggeration. Like I'm literally the only black person in there. And I probably was the youngest by like 10 years from anybody.
Yeah.
Look, bro, when I walked in, I thought I was at the wrong place. I said,
this can't be it.
Whoa, I done walked in on a convention. I am not supposed to be here. Like, I done walked in on the NARA meeting. Like, I'm not supposed to be here. And then it was all like, you know, like a bunch of like OGs, like, you know how it is, like, you know, you're a young man, you respect when you see like a bunch of real men. You know what I mean? It was like, you know, in all seriousness, it was like a real serious situation. Like I walked in, I was like, oh, this is real. Like it's a room of like real dudes in here like my dad. Like, oh, okay. Like it ain't a bunch of no young people. Like, you know, so we get in there and like the, you know, the different instructors that, you know, they talking to us, they're showing us like safety video, you know, kind of video after video, PowerPoint after PowerPoint presentation. And, you know, we taking breaks here and there, coming back, hearing more of the lecture, boom, boom, boom. And then it all end with like a test. And this is where I feel like I just excelled, right? Everything that I learned that day, the only thing I paid attention to the most was this part. We got ready to do a test about, you know, the whole thing. And the man said, you know, they only gonna take like the top scorers, and they only got, mind you, it's like 80 of us in there. They talking about they only about to hire like 5-6 people, some weird stuff like that. So automatically I'm sitting there like, cool. At least I can tell my dad I came. Like, you know,
right,
I mean? Like,
right.
And we sitting there, we about to take the test, and the man say, we about to take this test. We got a time limit of like 15 minutes or something like this. It's gonna be about all the stuff y'all learned today. You only get graded on the scores you only get graded on what you answer. So your boy, I don't know if that must have clearly just boom over all the OG's head. You get what I'm saying? Because your boy got his paper, and I literally sat my pen down and I read every question. Like, I probably answered 10 questions, but they was 10 for 10. I had the highest score in that thing, boy. I got that.
Like this dude, the one who figured it out. He the one we need right here. He figured it out.
Bro, I literally only answered like 10 questions on that thing. I was like, oh, bet. I mean, I can answer one if I want to.
Right.
Like, man, I went through. I literally answered. I read all of them. Of course, I knew more than 10 questions, but I was only going off what I knew for 100%.
What you knew.
Like, so like 10 questions. I came back. I scored like one of the top 3 highest scores, and I got the job. Like they called me like for the hire. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? I came home, and then that started my railroad career. I drove. That was my first road. Like one of my first road. That was my first road trip by myself. I drove. I got the job, but the railroad school for Norfolk Southern Railroad is in Macon, Georgia.
Oh, so wow.
I drove from Toledo all the way down to Macon, Georgia by myself. Wow. 13 hours. I remember I made it all the way to like Tennessee, like probably like an hour outside of like Georgia. And I like slept at this rest stop. That was the first time I ever did something like that in my life. Then woke up the next morning and drove the rest of the way. Went to conductor school for like 2 weeks. And then they give you like, you know, they put us all in a hotel not too far from the big railroad yard they got and all that, where we learned everything. and I had like a roommate. He was like from like the Carolinas. He was like 47. You know what I mean? Like 44 or something like that. He was like from the Carolinas. Had a whole family and everything, and I'm just sitting there like going through this whole process, like, yo, I can't believe like what is life about? Like, you get what I'm saying? So I do the whole little 2-week thing and then drive back. They paid us to be there every day. You know what I mean? We still had to go through like school, like class. It was really like school, like real life school. We took like 3-4 tests every day, written tests, had to learn all this. Because the railroad, they really, really, really take pride in like safety. Like the railroad is like one of the safest industries because they go hard for like the Harriman's Award. Like they all, like all the railroad companies, like Burlington Northern, Norfolk Southern, CSX, they compete for this safety award called like the Harriman Award every year. And like from that award, by being like the safest railroad, they get like the best contracts. You know, it's a money thing. They get like the backing, you know, because they the safest or whatever. So they go hard for that, like that certification. So school be like really intense. I say all that to say like school be like intense or whatever. And then they don't want to hire you. You're gonna be out there wilding. So they like it was really like being on like a TV show. Like you, like,
right.
Homies was like dropping like every few days. Like yeah, they threw. So I went through that whole thing and then came back and started working for the railroad for Toledo. And I'll be gone like 2 days at a time, driving the train like. That was the first time I went to Chicago.
So what's your response from like your people at this point in time? I'm sure they probably like ecstatic that like, yo, Calvin got a job. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
my dad was,
hey,
look,
you lit.
My mom was so happy and my dad was so happy. And then I was happy, but then I was like a chip on my shoulder, like, yeah, told y'all niggas I could have been
right.
here. Like my God, better than both of y'all. Like, you know what I mean? Young and immature, like acting like that. Like, when all they wanted was to see me doing good, but I took it like a chip on my shoulder, like, yeah, y'all talking about that, get a job, blah, blah, blah. Now I'm with the railroad, I make more money than y'all, and, you know, etc. I just took it like the wrong way at the time, because I was like, I kind of had a beef with my parents about that, you know what I'm saying? Only because at the time, looking back, I was sad about my track and field dreams dying, you know what I'm saying? So for them to be like, get a job, I was taking all that as all that energy, like they didn't care, like, you know what I'm saying? So when I got the job at the railroad, I was like, man, I mastered being normal. Like I'm good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I got a new job, all that. But they was like super happy. They thought I made it. Like, oh, you good. Now all you gotta do is stay out of trouble. Don't have no kids, just go to work every day. And that was it. And that's literally all I did. I was so like in love with my job because I was traveling every day. Like, like I said, like the first time I ever been in Chicago, I drove there on the train. I remember I parked my train right next to the White Sox Stadium, like right on the track. That was the first time I ever been to Chicago. You know what I mean? The first time I ever been to like Buffalo and Pittsburgh and all these places all over Pennsylvania and Indiana and all that was on the train. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was crazy.
So this whole time when you talking about working on the railroad, you were an actual conductor. You actually driving and transporting the trains.
Great. Yes.
Wow. See, I never knew that. I'm thinking that you like just one of the employees. You actually driving the freight.
No, I was not like going to work for 8 hours and coming home. No, nigga, I would be out there with me and one other person, and we'd be driving a train full of everything you be seeing: Jeeps on the back, Hummers, cargo, like anything that comes from shipping containers, we'd be taking that, like train ran tons. We taking that all the way.
And you 21 at this time?
I'm like 20, 21. Yeah.
I did
that 4 years.
That's a great job to them. You making good money.
Bro, I made $88,000 my first year. I had my own apartment.
Wow. You was lit.
Bro, look, I had my own apartment. I had a car and a truck, a Dodge Ram and a Charger. I was living like I'm living like a D-boy in the hood. You know
right, yeah.
I'm like, I got rims on my car and everything. I'm like, I got my homies, like I'm working for the railroad, all my homies trapping. I'm running with my homies. Like, yeah, like I'm living just like y'all. Like, that's the type of time I was on. Like, I'm like,
so
yeah.
at any point in time, because you talk about it with a good energy. You said you loved it yourself, but at any time, is you thinking like, damn, man, I want to be doing something different. At any point in time, has that ever come in your mind at all?
it came to a point, I'm like 3 years working for the railroad, right? 2.5 years. And then I got laid off.
Okay.
I got laid off for like 6 months. Like the railroad did like a big cut, right?
Okay.
I still got unemployment. Unemployment was good, but it was nowhere as good as my checks was.
Right.
That was fun. And I had all this free time on my hands. And then it's crazy because what really did it for me was a lot of the guys I got laid off with, they had families. You know, we was friends because I didn't have a social circle. It was like I just had like my homies in the hood, and then I was working so much. So then like my railroad guys became like my uncles and my OGs. I just became used to like working so much and just sitting on the train with them for hours and talking and doing all that. So they became like my second family in a way. So when we all got laid off, I knew like 30 other guys that got laid off too. Like, you get what I'm saying? So, and they had families. And like, and we be, you know, on the text, they losing their houses, they losing more, you know, losing cars, and it was really affected. And for me, that stopped me in my tracks. So that was like the first time in my life that I had to deal with something like that. I'm like, okay, I'm 21 years old. I done just got laid off of work. Wow, they can even do that. I didn't even know they could even do something like that. It ain't no recession or nothing. It's just them. This ain't even on the news or nothing. They just laid off. Like, you know what I mean? So laid us off for like 6 months. And within that 6 month time, that's when I got on my, I was like, yo, I got to figure out something else. And like, some of my homies, like Fred Davis, he got drafted he went to USC and he got drafted by the Redskins. You get what I'm saying? Like Ted by like the Dolphins. And then just like other people, like a lot of my other friends, like made it pro, you know what I mean? Or it was like moving moving away. And at that time in my life, like just being able to either like talk to them directly or like see them was like inspiring to me. Like, okay, they doing like different things and stuff like that. And like get into different things. And like people will always tell me like, you know, I was making money. So, and then like growing up, I was always like the kid, you know, I was an athlete. So I always just keep like my warm-ups on. I was like wearing my warm-ups and stuff like that to school every day with like the latest sneakers. So I was always on like my little fly shit, you know what I'm saying? So I get like, you know, my adult life, I'm making good money. I always stay like dressing and stuff like that or whatever. So like during this time I'm laid off, a new like streetwear boutique, like clothing store opened up in Toledo. You know what I mean? Called NEX Clothing Co. It was like right on the campus of University of Toledo. And a guy named Zach BB, this guy from Columbus, it was his store. Now he was going to University of Toledo, majoring in business. And he was like on his third year or something, like second or third year, one of them two. I don't know like the exact details, but he was in class and he in his business class, he had a venture capitalist come and do like a seminar, you know, talk to their class and that whole nine or whatever. So Zach in it, you know, Zach had an idea like to like open his own streetwear business because he was seeing that like fashion, he seen where fashion was changing to like, you know, more like skater, streetwear brands were like the 10 Deeps and Cricks and Castles and, you know, Pac Suns and all these different brands was like emerging or whatever. He seen that vision. So he kind of like was like jumping on that lane early. Like I want to be like one of the first pioneers to bring that style to the Midwest or whatever. Now, naturally, I was already like dressing like that too because I was like shopping in Pac Suns, wearing like, you know, Travis Barker, famous stars and straps because like I said, from like traveling and being around the world, I was like introduced into like other cultures, other music, and like, you know, growing up in the hood, like not to be ignorant or like that, growing up in the hood, only time you seen somebody from the Middle East was like the corner store. Only time an Asian person was like when you went and got Chinese food or something like that. Like, you know,
you're not exposed to a lot, man. You're not
like
exposed
all
to
these
a lot.
different things. So after I, you know, going through college and running track and traveling, I was like into like different music. I was becoming more into myself, different than like opening like different forms of dressing and like ways of living and like, oh, the hood it's more world out there than just the hood and like this, like you get what I'm saying.
Also, so how much backlash was you getting from the cats in the hood that's like, yo, this nigga on some different shit? Like what's like was you getting any of that?
My city used to make fun of me, bro. My city, I remember when I remember when Diddy first cut the mohawk in his head. For the marathon.
When it was for the voter die. Was he doing the stuff for the
run
presidential campaign and all that?
I cut him off in my head. I was the first person in the city, in my city, to ever do that. And I had my one because my best friend, Ty Ulysses, he's a barber. So that was our kicking spot. We just hung out at the barber shop all day, every day. You know how it is, your homie a barber, you pulling up, getting a cut, and then when you ain't, you just sitting there chilling, shop talk every day. Like, so my days off from the railroad, I'm pulling up. So when I'm laid off, fast forward, I'm laid off all this time, I'm hanging out at the barber shop all the time. Now, my boy barber shop was like right on campus too, not too far away from the new store that opened up. So we heard about the new store opening up, but we didn't know Zach and them. Like Zach from Columbus, you know what I'm saying? He, different whole vibe, different scenery, atmosphere. We don't know him. We never even went to the store or nothing like that, but we doing our own thing or whatever. So somehow, some way we end up crossing paths, and Zach was like, make a long story short, he was like, yo, y'all should help me like run my store. So I'm like, all right, bet. So that was like my first experience into like retail and like running the store. I'm like, yeah, I work for the railroad. He's like, yeah, because man, you like super into fashion. Because I would be like online, like Currency was my favorite artist. So I'd be like on YouTube, like studying Currency, like looking at 2dopeboys.com and like hypebeast.com. Like remember when Hypebeast and Complex, they didn't even have a .com. They was just a magazine. I'll be getting a magazine and I'll be looking at like 2dopeboys.com and all these like little blogs and stuff like that. But nobody in my city, like the homies in the hood, was not on that. They was like, yo, I don't know what you doing or what you on, but that ain't it or whatever. But I was always like had an eye for like different stuff or whatever. So Zach bring us in like, boom, help me run the store. So we bring my dude, we got a barbershop. We put the barbershop inside the store. So it was like a one-stop shop. So homies come through, get a cut, and get fly. Afterwards, they go shop. So I'm running the store. I'm like, being the buyer, and we like doing events and all this other stuff. So we started doing like putting on like local concerts where like, like the club promoter at the college, he'd book an artist, and then we'd piggyback and like do the in-store where like you get to do the meet and greet. The artist would be at our store for a couple hours, signing autographs and taking pictures before the show later on that night. You get what I'm saying? And we have like a little raffle for some clothes and, whatever. So we doing those little things, and that's how I meet like Machine Gun Kelly. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's how I met Jero, you know what I'm saying, and Fly Union and all that, and Currency and Wiz Khalifa and stuff like that. Because at the time, nobody signed. We just all like grinding, getting at how we live. Like they artists going around to all the local cities and university and doing shows and stuff like that. And that was like really like my first intro into like, getting into like the fashion thing. So when the railroad called me back, I went back to the railroad. But I had a whole different mindset then. I was like, oh, like I'm about to do this with my money. I'm gonna do this with my money. I want to be a stylist. Cause like one of my homies was like, man, you should be a model, bro. I'm like, man, I'm not no model. Man, you be dressing and stuff. I'm like, I am not no model. Like, cause my vision of a model was like what we thought of as a kid, like high fashion, skinny white people walking down the road, like, you know what I mean? I'm like, I'm not no, that ain't me. Then my homies was like, man, you should be a stylist. And I'm 22 years old, bro. I'm like, what is a stylist? And like, he or she is the people they responsible for the wardrobe to get the athletes and entertainers dressed, bro.
Because your homeboy was playing sports at this time though, right? He was in the league or something, right?
Yep, different homies of mine, because they'd be out in the world, so they hanging and like being with other people, being exposed to stuff, and they like, man, you should be a stylist and all this. And then I'm like, they explained to me what a stylist was. In that moment, my mind was blown because I was 22 years old. That was the first time I ever even heard of a stylist. I never even knew that somebody was dressing people. I never even knew that even existed as a career where like I thought rappers and entertainers and all that and all these people that we love, some of them do, but I thought they all was just getting dressed on their own because they had the money and they was living how they was living. Like I didn't even know people was decorating people's houses for them. Interior decorating, like, so that was just my whole intro into all of that, but it blew my mind. I like fell in love with the idea right off the bat because I was thinking that's what I naturally do already. Like all my life, since 7th grade, I dress all my friends. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like we going out, we going to prom, we going to homecoming. Like even on the football field, I was the one that like, you know, had the team wearing a strap like this or wearing this glove and wearing this sock like this. And, you know, because Deion Sanders was like my idol, you know, growing up. Like, Deion Sanders was like the first. Deion Sanders and Ultimate Warrior was like my first childhood idol. I was like, oh my God, like I want to be like him other than my dad. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Two people. So it was like I always like, that's when I started putting it together. Like I always had it. Like this is what I always been doing. Like me and all my niggas about to go out. Me and all my friends about to go out for the club tonight. I'm the one that's picking everybody outfit. Man, you should wear them shoes. No, man, don't wear that shirt.
Right.
When we go out shopping, I'm the homie. They like, bro, you think I should wear this hoodie or not? And then somebody might be like, no. They're like, oh yeah, show my to him. Like, cause I'm the fashion homie out of the without even knowing that I was like fly one, like, you know what I'm saying, out of the clique or whatever. So that blew my mind. I was like, oh my God, like that's what I want to do. That's it. I'm gonna use my railroad money. I can't wait to go back to work now. I'm gonna use all that money I'm getting from the railroad and I'm gonna be putting it into like styling people. So so then it was like, okay, how I'm gonna style people, who I'm gonna style. So just like that, I started styling all of my friends. My little brother Denzel, who was like a real photographer now, he used to take all the pictures. We'd take all my dad cameras that he had in the house, fill them boys up with battery and film. We literally took the spare bedroom at my dad's house, cleaned that boy out, turned it into a makeshift photo studio. And before everybody was coming to the club, bro, they'd be stopping at our crib, getting their pits off. And then going to the crib, bro. And it's like early MySpace days and all that. We like loading pictures up on MySpace, going up, doing like little YouTube videos and all that. Like, yo, we stylists, we fashion. Like, that's where I got.
So y'all really was like influencers before influencing became a thing.
Bro, literally, it was it was like being ahead of your time. Like we really was like, and we didn't even know what we was doing. It was like we was the clique, like mobbing around, super fly, you know, partying, you know, staying out of trouble, you know, might fight every now and then, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was like, you know, just like on that whole type of time, not even talking about we stylists and we fashion, we doing photo shoots, but we just styling people in the hood, like all the little local rappers and acts, and boom, I meet Machine Gun Kelly. That was it. I did a
man. I wanna go back a little bit to what you said, man, because you've been highlighting a lot of stuff that I think is like super important and super valuable. One of the like main reasons why I really wanted to start this platform and this podcast, man, is to highlight entrepreneurs, because for youngsters, man, a lot of times, man, when we growing up, we're not really exposed to like all these options and opportunities that we really be doing. In entertainment industry, we see maybe 2 or 3 things, like, you know what I'm saying? In sports, you see the athlete, you see the coach. You don't know that there's trainers. You don't know that it's,
the behind the scenes. Like you don't know
that there's camera guys over there. You don't know any of that. But you had just touched on something, man, when you was talking about the railroad. You was like, listen, they laid us off. Like, that was out of our hands. Do anything about that? That wasn't even like a government recession or any of that type of stuff. It just came down to a point in time, whether it was budget cuts, whatever the case may be. They just said, listen, we laying y'all off.
Look, you don't understand. That broke my heart as a man. I did not. Nobody prepared my father. He's amazing. He couldn't prepare me for that. Like, you get what I'm saying? Nobody prepared me for the moment as a young man when I was gonna be laid off.
Right.
After being so up. Right. Like, you know what I'm saying? I almost felt like a kid again, where I was like, this is not fair. Like, how you gonna do this? Like, give me my money. Like, I can't come to work no more. That feeling I felt, I was like, oh, that was the beginning. I was like, this shit ain't never happening again. I'm taking everything that I get from my jobs to put into me, so I don't gotta ever work. So on the back end, where I'm at the age I'm at now, what little baby said, ain't no working me. Like, you know
see what you saying is, what you just said was so valuable. I have conversations with people, even myself to an extent. Like, I've had the thought process, like, look, do I want to quit my job and just jump full on into the entrepreneur thing? And then it's like I had to come to the realization, like, no, I'm going to use my 9 to 5. I'm going to let them be my first investment and invest into my business.
Look, pimp them just how they pimping you. Because look, I'm gonna tell you, OG gave me some game a long time ago that he worked for the railroad. We sit on the train. He said, look, The railroad is not designed for you to be rich. No job is designed for you to get rich off them. They not telling
right.
you, I don't care if they saying, bro, you about to make $34 an hour. They at no point in time if they telling you in the contract or in the orientation or when you get the job, yo, you get this job, we about to save your life. You're gonna go buy the house, the car, and that's
Right.
all on us. We got you. You rich. You're gonna
Right.
be able to walk away from here in 20 years with $1 million, with millions of dollars. That never gonna happen, nigga. I don't like.
Right.
Excuse me. That's never gonna happen. Like I don't care.
Mhm.
Like you gotta, it's what you gonna take with that money and do for yourself. Like when
Right.
you get your checks and all that,
Right.
you know, however your money management skills is, whether you saving it or you put it into something else, that's your business. Like I don't judge people for that, but I be trying to tell people jobs are their jobs. You
That's
would
right.
have a lot more people just getting rich. Nobody tell you like, bro, you know I'm about to work here for 10 years and be the man. No, no, you're not. No, you're not.
It's not designed for that, man. It's
You're
not
gonna be the
created
man,
for that.
you're gonna be the man, but you still in that box, buddy. Like you get
Right.
what I'm saying? Like
Right.
you can still get that phone call or that email any day, or that pay
Yeah.
cut or that layoff. And guess what? It's nothing you can do because
That's
ain't
right.
none of that yours. And you know what I'm saying? And you don't got the
Listen.
power at no point in time to be like, you know what? I want my homie to work here. You gonna work here.
Listen. In 07 when the housing market and the recession really hit, my mother and my stepfather, they were working at Chrysler. And when they folded, when the auto industry folded, I mean, they were like lost. Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, because in the Midwest, man, that's an A1 job. So to lose that and not have anything to do, what the hell am I gonna do now?
I never forget seeing my dad when he lost his job, when he was forced into a buyout. You know what I'm saying? After working for a company for almost 30 years,
I put all this sweat they put
everything
in on
into
me.
it. Like that was like the make of him. A lot of them people that gave them their identity, that gave them their purpose. It was a lot of them were like superstar athletes in retirement. They didn't know what to do with their life. Like you get what I'm saying?
Right.
After giving a company 34 years, like close to 30 years of your life, and then you forced into a buyout for like $100K, and after taxes, you walking away with like 60, 70 and no benefits. That's it. Like, you get what I'm saying? I'll never forget, like, just seeing him going through that time. That was so heartbreaking for him. Like, you know what I'm saying? And seeing my other friends, like parents and stuff, like when the auto industry collapsed, like that was like tough for them. Like my dad, like lost his soul, like lost his bearing. And quite honestly, like, you know, this now that I think about it, like, you know, like he might actually watch this one day, but I don't even think he quite ever recovered from that.
Listen, man, you
like,
talking
know what I mean?
now.
Like,
You talking,
growing up, bro. Growing up, it was like an identity thing to be like, man, my pops worked for Jeep. They already knew a certain standard. Like,
100%,
yo, okay.
100%.
That was like a pride for like a minority family coming up. Like, oh, we work for Chrysler, we work for Jeep, we work for Libby Glass, or we work for these factories. And when all of them just folded up and got treated like nothing, now the same jobs are back with no benefits, no union, and they getting paid not even half of what they was paying. Like all my friends work there now for like $12 an hour, no union, no benefits, no nothing. Like,
you talking now, man. You talking. I know for a fact. I know for a fact that my mother has not recovered. She was forced into retirement, and she was even lucky to even be able to retire. And this is damn near 15 years ago. She still even says to this day, I wish I would have took the buyout. Like she still has those lingering effects 15 years later. And
my dad took the buyout. Man, that money was gone in not even a year.
Right.
Money was gone. You think about it, you're gonna drop $100K on somebody for something they did there for 30 years. You're gonna say, all right, they was already making that on their own, working for you. Right. You're gonna say, all right, here go that $100K cash right here. Uncle Sam coming off top like, give me mine.
Yeah, give me that. Yeah.
Yo, pop, our parents walked away with like 50, 60, 65, 70 if they played it right and jugged it right. And then that was it with a pink slip, like, thank you.
And 50K ain't no money, man.
And then in their 40s and their 50s, they had to figure out a new job in a working force.
That's tough.
That's why they all like scatter, like you be just running into in random places and stuff like that, like working at different stuff or having to get, like my pops had it. He do truck driving. He had to get right back into the whole factory force and temp thing and stuff like that. Like, you know, so yeah, man, like it was just all those experiences like built into one. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna really just get on my own thing. Like if I strike rich and end up in the big mansion on the hill, cool. But at the end of the day, being rich to me is just being able to like take care of my family and my household off doing what
you
I
do.
love to do. That's
Right.
priceless right there, bro.
Right.
That
Yeah,
is
it is.
priceless to literally wake up every day and do nothing but what I love to do on my own time with my own team up under me, and then still be able to like sustain a roof over my head and my lady's belly is not empty and she got a smile on her face. Bro,
Right.
that's
Right.
that's rich. That's gangster.
That's success. That's wealth. That's
That's it right there.
everything.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I ain't done my taxes. I'm too turned up. Like, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like,
Right. Right. Right.
that's
Right.
like
Facts.
that's
Facts.
the dream right there. That's the American dream. That's all I live and thrive for. Like, literally.
So go back a little bit. When you ended up meeting MGK, you know what I'm saying? You doing your stuff around the city, you and your team, y'all kind of building y'all, you know, establishing a name for yourself. You getting more comfortable into the fashion industry and to the entertainment industry as a whole. You meet MGK, then what happens?
Okay, so I meet MGK at this show, and he just like we was all like I literally like had on like this hoodie that he like. It was like a red or aura suit hoodie that I got from like Karma. He liked the hoodie. He was like, "Yo," asked him about the hoodie. How could he get the hoodie? I told him like I'm a stylist. I remember he looked at me like I was crazy because I could tell. It's like he 18. He probably like, "You a stylist, bro? You live in Toledo. You not a stylist." Yeah, you know what I mean? But he believed in me. He was like, "Okay, bet." Like, man,
Right.
I got like photo shoots and all that at this time, bro. You know, no disrespect to him, but he'd probably agree. Like his fashion game was horrible. Like, you know what I mean? And at that time, and at that point, he had never ever wore hats. He didn't
Okay.
like wearing hats of any kind because his hair was messed up and all that. So that's when I like introduced him to like streetwear. Got him wearing like, you know, he was already heavy with the chucks and all that. That was like his vibe, just natural of life. But you know, really like, and he already got like a natural like skateboarder vibe. So just tapping into that, like bridging the gap with like, oh, okay, I'm gonna use you as my muse. Like you 6'3", blonde hair, blue eyes, tattooed up, crazy, like bong. Like that's a model right there for a kid from the hood. Like, you know, I'm like, I got my model boy right there. I got perfect sample size. I can get whatever. So once he gave me a chance, man, he started letting me do videos, bro. I would be taking like my own work checks, buying all the clothes, driving to Cleveland, you know what I'm saying? Doing his video shoots, driving to like other like little cities like Columbus or wherever we was at in like the Midwest area, or, you know, riding with them, you know, because I believed, I was like, yo, this is it. Like he a real artist. Like, you know what I mean? This could be my chance. Like this could be the best client I got. You know what I mean? Like
those who may not know
this one, I'm gonna believe in this one. Like
those who don't know and don't remember, like there was a point in time where like when MGK really was bubbling, like here locally in the state of Ohio,
he was
the shit. Yeah. His buzz was crazy.
His like even today he'll sell out the arena in Cleveland if he pull up. You get what I'm saying? Like, but when he first started going, like, and music itself was just like 2007 to 2010 is probably my favorite era of music. You know what I mean? Because like
that was mixtape Wayne at his peak. That was like music. Yeah. T.I., DJ, that was a great time.
It was like a whole different like vibe and like energy. You know what I mean? So for him to be coming like how he was coming from that genre, from that lane, that was like Kid Cudi, Man on the Moon era. Like,
Wale,
John Kennedy, Wiz, you know, that was like that whole thing. Like, blogs was new. The internet, it was like you still only had MySpace. You ain't even have Facebook yet, really. Like, you get that type of vibe. So the energy was just different. Like his cult following was just like boom. But I seen it though, even before I seen that, because when I first got with him, he didn't even have that yet. He was just like dropped a mix. He dropped like 100 words and running like YouTube video, and he was just rapping real fast, like him and Slim, whatever. Slim and Dubbo, they from Toledo, like, you know what I'm saying? So like he was just rapping real fast. He didn't have like the crazy fans and all that, like, but it was like once I met him, we just clicked. You get what I'm saying? I was like, oh, like, bet, like, oh, like, homie, like, he nice. Like, I rock with him. Like, it was like a vibe. It was like literally what I needed. It was like a puzzle piece. Like, everything was like his dream and my dream was like literally cross paths and was running parallel together. Like, you get what I'm saying? And I seen it. I was like, oh, I don't care if he blow up and be the major, but I see right now, I believe in like what this is. Like, this is a lifeline. You know what I'm saying? Like, I still to this day, like, that's my dog. That's like one of my like closest homies. Like, he changed my life, bro. Like, him giving me that shot and saying like, bro, you could be my stylist. Like, you will see as our conversation unfold on here. Like, he was so pivotal in like so many parts of my life. Like, boom, 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 boom. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
So at what point in time do you end up making a transition to New York, and like what even like came about for you to even want to like go out to New York?
Boom. So look, I'm living in Toledo, doing my little thing, work for the railroad still, back working for the railroad, styling the little local talent, but then I was dating somebody at the time. She was a singer and stuff. She was like doing music and stuff like that. And she was in the process of, she had already been living in New York for a time. She's from the Midwest, so she moved back for a little bit to kind of like regroup, and then she was planning on moving back to New York. You get what I'm saying? Okay. So she was already in the process of like, yo, I'm about to be out of here. I'm gonna move back to New York. So I'm like, we trying to figure it out. I'm like, okay. Now back to MGK, how he always like right there. I'm doing his wardrobe, this, that, and the third. He's starting to gain traction, like become big, like on the local scene, on the blogs, but we still just in Ohio. We ain't really getting a major yet still. He still ain't like went crazy yet. So while now I'm doing all this, I'm helping Zach still run the store. The store ended up being a major part, because it was like, that's where I was getting all my clothes from at a young age, in the early beginnings, to be able to even style Machine Gun Kelly. You get what I'm saying? I got the store full of clothes. You know what I'm saying? I could use these clothes for like photo shoots and all that other type of stuff. So one day I'm at the store, and like every retailer, they have they have accounts with all the different brands. They carrying all the different brands. So the brands, like back in the day, the brands would send out a rep. You know what I mean? Like, so for example, like Rocksmith at the time, that was one of the brands that we was carrying. They sent the rep out to the Midwest, a Midwest rep, to go around to all the stores that's carrying a brand, to check on it, see if they got like proper window display, if their brand is being represented the proper way to their standards in the store. You know what I mean?
Right.
So this guy named Michael Ross, he come by the store. He from New York, from Brooklyn. He working for Rocksmith or whatever. He was like one of they like OGs that helped started with him or whatever. He's a salesman. He had just came from Chicago. He got a rental. He drive all over the Midwest. He got all of their samples in the car. You know what I'm saying? He just mobbed from city to city, salesman. That's how they used to do it back in the day before the internet took on all over. The salesman would literally be in the car with the clothes, mobbing from city to city, going to all the stores.
Hand to hand.
Yeah, like, yo, I'm with such and such brand. Like, this is our collection. Right. You can buy it, that type of deal. You know what I mean? So he buy the store. He, like, checking on the brand. Like, yo, like, peeping it out, meeting everybody. That was, like, when his first time even being in Toledo. He like, okay, store cool, this, that, and the third. Like, I got a little vibe. But at the same time, he from New York. He from Brooklyn. So he like, y'all corny too. Like, you know what I mean? In his head, he think like everybody here corny and country.
Right.
Real Midwest, but like not like to my own home, but he vibe with me because I was already on some different stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Cause he like, where you from? I'm like, I'm from Toledo. I'm from here. He like, nah. Like, I've been all over the city. How you like that? How you like this? But what I'm missing about you? You get what I'm saying? So I just kind of told him, like, I'm a stylist. I'm in the fashion, blah, blah, blah. I work for the railroad. He looked at me like, you ain't no fucking stylist. Like, get out of here, bro. Like, you ain't no stylist. Like, shut up. Like, that's the look he gave me. Like, what? Like, you just said you work for the railroad and you a stylist and you all in Ohio. It was,
that ain't adding up, bro.
Bro, look, it was literally like, adding up. I always use movies for analogy. It was literally like the movies In Too Deep. And he was like Jay Reed from Akron. Like, I know they was getting no money out there. I know they was getting
no money at Akron.
What they doing? Selling corn? Like, you know what I mean? Like, That's how.
Hey, that nigga Jay Reed.
Yeah,
Hey,
bro.
if you ever go back and look at that movie when they asked him, they said, "Where you from?" And the screen just stopped for like 2 seconds, and he just close up. He like, Akron. I'm like, oh man.
He was like, I know they was getting no money out there. Like,
I didn't get no money in Akron.
He was like, what you thought we were selling corn or something? Like that was the moment me and Mike had. Mike was like, all right, so then Mike pulled my car, like, oh, you a stylist, bro? I got our 2010 fall samples in the car that I've been riding around with. If you a stylist, like, do a photo shoot. I'm like, bet. Shut the store down. I call all the homies from the hood. My photographer homie with the camera, all my other homies from the hood, like real boys from the trenches, come up there to be models. I got real dudes with dreads and nappy froze.
Right.
They probably ain't even seen a new outfit in a couple weeks. They come up there like, boom, they modeling.
Right.
We get it going. We got a whole vibe. Mike sitting back in the cut like, yo, hey, like I could tell his mind was blown. Like, yo, like they guerrilla style. They get busy. Like he could feel my passion and how it was coming, whatever. So we did the photo shoot. That came and went. A couple weeks later, he hit me. He's like, yo, I showed Eric like Rocksmith was owned by two people, Eric Marino and Kenshin, and a guy named Kenshin, whatever. Eric and Kenshin, ENK. So he like when he got back to New York or whatever, he like showed them, like told them about his travels, like, oh, I was in Ohio, they got lit out there, they did a shoot. He showed them like all the pictures, all that other stuff. Rocksmith ended up using part of those images as a 2010 fall lookbook. You know what I mean? Mike, ever since then, me and Mike always became cool. Mike was like, cause he, you know what I mean? He just seen it in me, like, yo, he a real one. So then Mike was like, yo, if you ever out and like get to New York, I got a job for you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? You could probably work with us or something. I'm like, all right, cool. And so I'm telling him like, yo, Mike, I was really serious. I am a stylist, man. Like I'm styling for this guy named Machine Gun Kelly and all this right now. They ain't know who he was. New York is a tough cookie. So his wave, even though he was popping in the Midwest, he ain't quite make it there yet or whatever. And then it was like, I ain't never heard of him. I'm like, no, he the big, he next or whatever. But man, you know how hard it is trying to sell a new rapper. Like, oh, he next. Like, what?
Right.
Everybody
Who ain't saying that? Who ain't saying that? Yeah.
So they was like fronting him. It was like, he was kind of hitting me like, bro, I told you, y'all selling corn, boy. You ain't. I told you, you're not a stylist. Who is Machine Gun Kelly? And then and then they was looking at like he's some white rapper. Fuck out of here. Like, like you styling a white rapper. You ain't doing nothing. Whatever. That's just country, just like you think you are. Like, that's how he played me. So then Machine Gun Kelly, he ended up doing like this show with Kid Cudi in Cleveland. It was like Cleveland out of nowhere. They announced they was gonna do like, cause Cudi was like on fire at the time, and he was like gonna come home and do some big show downtown Cleveland in the grass that was like free to all the people. So and MGK was gonna be the opener. So I hit Rocksmith back. I'm like, yo, Machine Gun Kelly, he about to open for Kid Cudi. They still was fronting on MGK, but they knew who Kid Cudi was. So they was like, yo, we want that look. You know what I'm saying? At the time, they just came out with like an explicit content. They took the explicit content logo and they put it on like a t-shirt and like a tank top. And that was like, they like one of their like, claim to fame designs or whatever that they flipped or whatever. So they like, yo, we gonna send you clothes for the show. This, that, and the third. I'm like, all right, bet. So I took my little check, went and bought him some fresh chucks and all that other stuff, some little accessories. I'm telling him all week, man, Machine Gun Kelly, well, sending us the box. I'm so geek. It's the first time like a brand is gonna send me some clothes. I'm like, got this big show. I promise to God, the box come, bro. It was like this. On my computer I'm talking to you on was bigger than the box, bro. It was like, bro, and keep you. It's like the day before the show, I ain't got no other clothes. But I'm thinking this Rocksmith package is about to come.
Right.
Bro, it was literally like a little box, bro. I opened it up. It was the tank top. It was the one tank top and one gray random t-shirt. Like, I was just sick, bro. I was like, I felt so embarrassed. Like, oh man, like they played me. They just gonna send some clothes. Like, what is this? So the next day, he only ended up wearing the tank top. You know, luckily enough, Kels is like real simple. He's real down to earth. You know, he you know, we were still coming up, so he loved the tank. He like that. So the tank, and he wore a snapback. Like I was the person that introduced him to wearing snapbacks when he was going snapback crazy. How he wore the snapback, he wore the tank, and he wore some shorts. But his performance, because he was on his breakout year and shit, being that crowd was there, like he benefited off that show more than Cuddy. Like you get what I'm saying? Because Cuddy was there and was like just to draw all these people out, but that was his perfect time to be able to get his shine off in front of all them people. You know what I'm saying? Like to perform in front of audience, it was probably had like 3,500 people downtown Cleveland right there on the grass right there. Like they don't even do stuff like that in Cleveland no more. Like, you know what I mean? Like 3,500 kids all down there on a free concert, running around and watching this show and all that stuff. Like that was like the perfect opportunity for him. So after that spread viral over the blog. So Rocksmith hit me back like, yo, because he was all over the show, crowd surfing and all that with the tank top, and like he got like this epic shot where it's like he performing and like, you know what I mean, the crowd all. And so they was like, after that, Rocksmith was like, oh yeah, we fucking with him. Like anything you need.
Right.
I'm like, what? Like, I just had a box this big, you know what I'm saying? So that so yeah, like so then fast forward. You know, the person I was dating at the time, they're like, yo, I'm moving to New York. I'm like, bet, I'm coming too because I got a job. You get what I'm saying? And so they're like, really? And then stuff started getting weird with the railroad again. They started talking about more layoffs and doing that whole thing or whatever. And then I was almost gonna have to relocate. You know what I'm saying? This, that, and the third. So then I was like, all right, this is a perfect opportunity. Like I'm about to be through with the railroad, but I was scared because I was like, one, financially, you know what I'm saying? Because somebody told me before, like, man, you know, like, don't cut your nose to spite your face. Like, don't get rid of one thing. Like how you were saying, like, should I just quit and go entrepreneur or ride my job till the wheels fall off? So I remember OG gave me some game, like, bro, you ride that job till the wheels fall off till you can get your last check and then just be out. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
So I literally got my last check and then I borrowed $500 from a homie, got a rental car, packed all my stuff up.
Gone.
Finished with the railroad and boom, my mom and my parents was like salty at me and I moved to New York. And moved to New York, bro, I lived there. That was like the beginning of my New York life. Like, boom, I'm 22, 23 maybe? Yeah. Boom, living in New York.
I love what you're talking about right now, man, because it's again, man, it's so much value in that, man. There's a lot of value in number one.
Another
like
thing,
God was on your side so much during this, man. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean to cut you off, but another thing too, like when I moved to New York, I borrowed $500 from my homie. I had $500, but the rental car and the truck, it ended up costing more than what I thought it was gonna be. And then they took a deposit. You know, when you come with a debit, they take $250 and hold it. So then I had to borrow $500 from my man. But I say all that to say the only reason I even felt comfortable for that is because like 2-3 weeks prior, I read a Complex magazine article with Kid Cudi. He was saying that when he moved away from Cleveland, all he had was $500. So that was like my learning experience. I was like, oh, I can do it then.
You can do it.
He said he moved away and he only had $500. I got like $750. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can do it too. Like, so, but had I not seen that, I probably would have always thought that I didn't have enough money to do it.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
That's so valuable, man, because when we are present, we paying attention to what's going on around us, man. God gonna give us what we need to get where it is what we want to do, man.
Gonna fill that toolbox up.
You gotta just have the faith and you gotta take the action, man. And like I hope that when people listen to what you're saying, they see the importance of like taking the action, bro.
That's
like,
why I always say like, the journey makes the story better, man.
Yeah, man. 100%.
You gotta like, seize them like little moments, like, you know what I mean? Like I always compare everything to like sports analogies, like. Like, if you want to be the nicest, like, you really had to be at the court putting in that work.
Right.
Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, a game is a game. That's one game, but it's like, it's more practice days than there are games.
Yep.
Nobody be talking about that. It's more it's 82 games in the season, but it's 365 days.
Yeah, them 5,000 hours is real, man.
You gotta
they
put
real.
that time in, like, bro. How you think you're gonna come out there and go 360, go crazy if you
it don't
won't
work
put
like
that
that.
work in? It don't.
Yeah,
Man,
it don't work like that.
Your natural talent is only gonna take you so far, but natural talent with some work ethic, boy, we running through walls. We speeding up when we see the wall. We ain't slowing down. You know what I mean?
I heard Kobe say one time. He said, "Man, everybody always looks at like the MVPs, the championships as like achieving a dream." He said the dream is like the journey. Like, you know what I'm saying? When you are going through it and like you going through the trials and tribulations, you going through the air balls in the playoffs, you going through, you know what I'm saying, losing, not playing early on. That's the dream. Like, you know, if we can kind of be focused on going through the process as opposed to looking towards the end goal, you can like appreciate it more. You can learn more, and like, you know what I'm saying. It's just gonna be more fulfilling, man. This is the dream. You know what I'm saying? So I love what you're talking about.
People just really gotta. I feel like people really just gotta like just trust a process. You know what I'm saying? Like Darryl said, like it's a process, not an event. Like it's an event, bro. It's you really gotta trust the process because like for me, like I tell myself, man, you gotta go hard, or man, you gotta work hard, or trust the process. But that even get challenging sometimes for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I know I gotta trust the process, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let me really like buckle down and get on my dean and ride this out. Like, you get what I'm saying? That's why, back to the sports analogy, that's why they don't give you the championship because you 5-0. 16 games, cuz. Go do that. All 16 of them. We ain't coming down the nets because you undefeated. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Teams started off undefeated and they didn't go to the championship.
Some of them don't even make the playoffs.
You get what I'm saying? So it's like, man, put that work. You gotta really like consistency, man. Put that work in. And like we started saying on the railroad, like hurry up and wait. Because like, you know, like you'll be like, the train to be riding along, but you know how you be riding down the street, you be like, man, why not the train just sitting there stopping the tracks? Because it's really like signals. It's really like train traffic, like driving on the streets. It's like you might come up to a red light because there's traffic up there. You know what I'm saying? So we used to always have the saying, hurry up and wait, because you might be waiting for like 3 hours and then your dispatcher come on like, okay, train such and such, we got the green light. We're going to need you to go ahead and get in there and get off to the side. And then you be like, yes. And then you get the moving. And then they put you somewhere else and they're like, yeah, we're going to need you to wait here, hold here until further notice. And you be like, hurry up and wait. Boy, I've been waiting 3 hours to move 30 miles. Now I got to wait again. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's
I like
how
that.
it is in life. Like, hurry up and wait, you know?
So when you do get to New York and you ultimately working for Rocksmith, like I know you was there for, you know, a little bit of time for a few years, but like after the Rocksmith thing, man, like you fell on some hard times when you was in the city of New York too. Like, you know, it wasn't all sweet. So look, you know, talk to me a little bit about that too.
So look, no disrespect to Rocksmith, because man, E&K, I'm 34 now. I tell myself all the time, like the time I came on working for them, they was my age. They do not know old OGs. Like, you get what I'm saying? So when I came on working for Rocksmith, they was 34 and 35. You know what I'm saying? So I can imagine like how I got my own staff and little team under me now, how they must have been feeling at the time, because they was getting it. You know what I'm saying? So like I come on like I'm sorry, what was the question again?
So the question is, man, I know you fell on some hard times, like after, you know, the Rocksmith thing kind of faded out.
My fault. I lost my train of thought. So it's like what I was saying is like no disrespect to them, because I'm so grateful for the time and the years that they gave me. But I worked for them for like 6.5 years and I only made $25K a year. Like, you know what I'm saying? Now that's my own thing. I could have walked. I could have been like, you know what? F this. I ain't doing this. This 25. Y'all only got $25K for me. But like, again, I remember that game that an OG gave me and said, bro, these jobs, it's not these jobs' responsibility to save your life. Nobody said that Rocksmith gonna hire you. They supposed to make sure all your bills is paid and you gonna be good because you work for Rocksmith. Like, it don't work like that. So I never looked at it like that was they bad. I worked for Rocksmith and I was hustling on the side out, selling this, selling that, selling my clothes here, selling my clothes there, freelance styling on that, like whatever little jugs I can get. Like, I done slept on like so many couches, slept on all my homies' couches. I done lived in every borough in New York. I done had so many sublets. Like, you get what I'm saying? I done got evicted. I got chased out of buildings. Like, I done lived in a hotel next to the Bronx Zoo for like 3 weeks, where I was like paying by the day, like literally by the day, like waking up knowing that I need to be out of the room that day, but I would like hurry up and leave, sneak out the hotel out the back way so the lady at the front desk can see me, get to the city, try to hustle up some money while I'm in the city, like go to Buffalo Exchange, sell some goods, then hurry and run to the bank, deposit the little $58 into my account, and then call the hotel and be like, oh, I'm so sorry, I had to rush to go to work today, but you could just run the card don't file, just to pay for that day. Yeah, I just want to pay for one more day. Like, you get what I'm saying? And or like be at like full-fledged events in New York with my homies, and I'm dressed to the T, taking pictures and all that, and at the end of the night, we dapping up and high-fiving, and I'm acting like I'm going to the crib, but I'm really about to just ride the train all night, because I don't know where to go. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm asleep on the train, because you could ride the train from the Bronx all the way to the last stop on New York, in Brooklyn, up in Coney Island, and ride from Coney Island way up to the last stop in Pelham Parkway up in the Bronx. That's going to take you like 3.5 hours to do. You do 2 of them on the night shift, it's 6 in the morning.
It's the morning.
You know what I'm saying? All you got to do is do that twice, starting at midnight. By the time the end of the second trip, you done slept, you woke up well rested, the train was moving, it was empty the whole night, and it's 6, 7 in the morning. Then I get off, you know what I'm saying? Now, when I'm working at Rocksmith the first 2 years, they didn't really, when I first came on, they was really messing with my vibe. They're like, yo, we love your passion, but they didn't have a real position carved out for me yet. So they was like, yo, we just opened up our first flagship store in the Lower East Side of New York. You got retail experience. You the one on our squad with retail experience. Since we don't got room for you at our office in Brooklyn, in Dumbo, you gonna run our store in Lower East Side from like 10 in the morning to like 5 p.m. And then when you get off work, you gonna come to the office and work out and work at the office, handle your in-house, because I became like the in-house stylist. I was like a store manager, flagship store manager, but then I was like working as a creative on the marketing team. I was like on the marketing team, but then they in-house stylist. So like all they photo shoots, like, you know what I mean? Like, we was the first person to do a photo shoot with the Migos when they came to New York. Like, they worked with us first when they first came to New York. The first brand they worked with, the Migos, like Rich the Kid, like all of these different rap, Kendrick Lamar, like we did the ADHD video with Vashti, like all these different like artists that was like young, like it was like the hub. Like when you came to New York, you was coming to either 10 Deep, Rocksmith, or Mishka. That was it. Like we had it on lock. And if you was on West Coast and you was going to like Crooks and Castles and you know, and all those different Diamond Supply and different brands like that or whatever, you know what I mean? So
hey, so how did you not let your pride get in the way of saying, man, I'm not doing all these hours here at the store and then going to do this in-house styling shit. Like, I'm only making this little bit of money. How did you not let your pride get in the way
because
of, like,
I was determined not
bigger?
Because I had already maxed out being normal. I felt like, yo, I was.
What you mean by that? What you mean by that?
Meaning like, okay, because you know, people like athletes, entertainers, like, or people like, oh, I got this great job because they got their degrees, like, you know what I'm saying? Or you got D-boy in the hood, he got all this money, he done flipped it, so now he on top. But then you got that guy that like, man, they just a good person. They get up every day, they grab their good job, they go work, they take care of their family, they pay their bills on time. Like, I look at that like nothing wrong with it, but that's like a normal person. Like, they got their car note, they got their house, they got their good job, they raising their family, they doing their thing. I'm like, and then they working like a 9 to 5. I'm like, for Toledo, Ohio, the factory jobs tanked, the auto industry tanked. It was only one thing left for me to do, which would be a D-boy or get a job. I'm like, okay, and I got with the railroad. That's the best job in the city. I'm like, okay, I maxed out being normal. Like, you get what I'm saying? I'm like, my mom and my dad jobs they've been working at for 30 years, not better than my job I got right now. And all I got to do is just go to work. So when I started getting that laid off, when I started getting laid off and all that, I was like, no, actually, you got to do more because this could happen. They wilding. Like, what if I had a kid right now and a house and all that, and I get laid off? What? Like, you know what I mean? Or like even like now in present day, I'm so thankful. I know we're gonna get to that point, but I'm so thankful that I took 2019 to really go through that struggle of building my own brands, because now here we are in 2020, in the middle of this, I'm able to stand on my own. I was still working for my boy, and he would be letting me go right now. He'd be like, bro, you gotta stay home. Like, you know what I mean? No check, no nothing. To be trying to start something now, I would to trying to build what I've already built now, to try to build now what I built last year, I would fail. It would be over. Like, you know what I'm saying? No pop-ups, no events, no nothing, no, everything is froze right now. So I'm glad that I took that time, because I was headed towards that for myself. Like, you get what I'm saying? Right back towards that, where somebody else is gonna come in like, bro, we gotta let you off, big homie. Like, you know what I mean?
It's like it's like in Belly, man. You know what I'm saying? When the two young boys, they were trying to get put on, and you know, they like, man, I'm trying to get money. And Tommy looked at him, he said, man, put the weed in the bag first and then get money.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Bro,
it's steps first.
He was like, learn how to count. He was like, learn how to count. Like, you get what I'm saying? That was more so like my coming up, like going through that whole thing, going through my ups and downs in Toledo. And then once I made that move, and then to know the effect it gave to my parents, I was determined, like, I'm not coming home a failure. I'm not packing it up and coming home. And I'm out here doing something that nobody else did or nobody else can teach me how to do. How they gonna tell me? Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, nobody at the home, at the crib can give me, all the way down to my parents, can give me no advice about what I'm going through. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I never once ever called back home and asked my mom or my dad for anything, just because I knew they didn't even have it themselves. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, even to this present day, I've never been in a position where I could, like, yo, mom, I need a whole, like, X, Y, and Z. And then she'd be like, maybe, okay. Like, we ain't have it. Like, you know, so that was why my parents was, in a way, stressed a lot, because they was like, we out here fighting a good fight. You playing, like, you gonna be caught out here like me. Like, I don't want you to be out here like me. Like, I don't want you to have a tough life like for me. So really, like, in the New York days, I knew what I was trying to do. I had a vision. I was like, man, because at the end of the day, like I said, if I end up rich, cool, but it wasn't all about that to me. I was like, man, I just want to get it to a certain place where I can, like, establish and be, like, holding it down for myself and, like, taking care of myself and taking care of, you know, I want to have my own brand. I want to have my own business. I want to be my own creative director. I was learning so much. I felt I took it on the chin, like, I'm going away to school, because my 2 years already away in college kind of got me ready for New York.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I already did that stint with being away from home. Yeah, I'm at home on a track scholarship, but I was broke. You know how the college life is. You broke. I'm getting my little refund checks here and there, but I'm just broke in college, getting how I live, hang with my homies, slumming, living, you know what I'm saying? Got my dorm, but, you know, we just young, sleeping here, sleeping there, you know. So I was already, like, on that rumble. And I'm way in southern Indiana. You know what I mean? This is a 6.5-hour drive from Toledo. So I was away. You know what I'm saying? Like, we weren't flying nowhere and all that. You know what I mean? So
did you ever think about saying, fuck it, I'm going back home? Like, this ain't it? Did those thoughts ever come across your mind?
I just never, because I never wanted to go home. My mom used to even plead with me sometimes, because I'd be on sometime, you know, I get on the phone and crack, show some cracks in the armor, might, you know, shed some tears, let her know how rough stuff was, but not with too many details, because then she'd be like, no, you coming home. Like, I ain't want to worry her too much, you know what I'm saying? But I was like, you can come home. Like, you don't got to be doing that. You don't got to be living like that. Like, you don't got to be like crashing on homies' couches and doing this, that, and the third. But I was just on a whole different plan. I just seen it different. I was like, my faith was locked. You get what I'm saying? My faith is God, because I was raised in the church with my granny heavy. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I was already, like, you know, my life was already committed with Christ. I'm a spiritual person, and I'm a Cancer. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a Cancer and I'm spiritual. So, and I'm very passionate. So I was already, like, on my, like, I don't know where I'm going, but I'm going. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not going back home. Like, I'm not going out like that. You know what I'm saying? And I seen the big picture already. I'm like, even if I had to, like, fall on my sword or, like, had to get stopped short on my path, I'd rather be here than there. Like, you know, I used to be like, man, a fucked up day in, excuse my language, a messed up day in New York is better than a messed up day in Toledo. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, that's how I used to, like motivate and pep talk myself. Like, bro, don't play yourself. And I used to always do stuff like this, like where like a couple of times I have like thought like, man, I should have just never. Like sometimes I'd be getting mad at myself. Like I'm mad. I would get mad. Like God, why you program me like this? Why you program me to think so ambitiously, think so big? Like sometimes I get down on myself, even to present day. Like I should have just stayed at the fucking railroad. I would have been working at the railroad like on year 14, 15 by now.
Right.
Benefits rolling in, hypothetically, you're telling yourself that. Not, I quickly forgot I already been laid off twice. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, I'd have been working at the railroad right now on my Toledo life, because that just seemed like a more simpler, easier plan. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, why did I have to be so ambitious and want to chase all these dreams? I get mad at myself sometimes and God, like, why you, like, I get upset at my friends sometimes. I talk to my friends and we just be talking and I'll be like, I envy you how you could be so chill about your day, about your life, about that's not judging you, not saying like I'm better and you know what I'm saying, my friends are, greater than or whatever.
Yeah,
but
I got you.
I envy the fact that they are just cool. I'm like, wow. Cause sometimes I wish I wasn't this way. I wish I wasn't so like, like this, like so wanting it. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like I said, I tell people all the time, like I want it for the right reasons. I wanted to just to like, sustain a roof over my head and take care of my people and this, that, and the third. But sometimes I do be like, man, I wish I was just like, want to just punch that clock. Now I had to deal with all these responsibilities, like the man that's running Norfolk Southern is. I wish I was just coming in like on the team, like, oh yeah, I just got to show up to work. That's my job. That's my part. Like, you know what I mean? I get mad at myself sometimes about that. Like,
what you ultimately talking about, man, is really like being aligned with your purpose, man, and understanding that like, it's bigger than this everyday stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's bigger than just like, what I see. It's bigger than what I've seen before. I know I can feel that. And, you really talking about being like aligned with like some real spiritual forces, man. That's really like beautiful to hear you say, for real.
Appreciate that, bro. And because I remember one time somebody gave me a game, like, yeah. And then what's that's gonna do? You're gonna go home, get back in that regular life, and you're gonna get tired of that too, because that just ain't you.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? You only being like that because you out of your comfort zone. You know what I'm saying? You can't deal with being out of their comfort zone sometimes.
Yeah. Right.
Like they can't deal with it. It's almost like as simple as working out. Everybody want to be out here looking like this, walking around, but when it's just us, we ain't trying to do 10 pull-ups.
Right.
We done at 7. I'm out.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? But we tight in for when the top season looking like this. It's like, bro, you could have just did 3 more.
Right.
You know what I mean? Every day.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna do that. So, you know what I mean? Be like, you can't be mad at where you at with it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that was what my thing. I just kept motivated.
Yeah. So after Rocksmiths and everything, man, I know you ended up, you got the opportunity to work a fashion show, and that kind of is really what catapulted everything else. With like you end up working for Yeezy and stuff. Like, how did that feel? You know what I'm saying? Knowing, okay, I'm at Rocksmith now. Like, I keep telling everybody, yo, I'm a stylist. And all of a sudden you actually get thrown into this fashion show and you really are really styling, like, you know what I'm saying, on a different level. Like, how did that feel when all of those things kind of came together?
It was crazy because, my whole time coming up, I always prided myself. I'm like, man, I'm like on the island. Like, I'm from Toledo, Ohio. Like, I don't got like the big wide band of network. You get what I'm saying? I don't got like a bunch of like rich or famous homies. Like, I don't got like a clique that I was like able to run with, or like a whole bunch of homies that like ladder me up. I always just been like my own wrecking ball. Even like Rocksmith, working with Rocksmith for like 6 years and 7 years. Rocksmith wasn't the most popular streetwear brand. You get what I'm saying? I was just me. So I already came with my own sauce, my own gift or whatever, like just being me. So I'm doing it. So to make that transition into like doing something where like basically it was like where you it was like I already believed and knew who I was. It just finally felt good for other people to finally start respecting it and seeing it. You get what I'm saying? Because for so long they were looking at like, oh, you just do streetwear, oh, you just wear Rocksmith, or you ain't nobody, you don't know this person, you don't know that person, you ain't doing this, you ain't doing that, you ain't where we be at, you ain't doing all this quote unquote extra cool stuff. You get what I'm saying?
Right,
Like,
right.
I believed in like in my talent. I believed in my brand that I was working for. I just believed in my whole earth, my whole circle that I was like, you know, standing on or whatever. So Rocksmith, you know, I'm there for like 6 or 7 years, and then they got to a point, you know, E and K, where they got to a point where they like plateaued and got to a ceiling with the brand, where like as far as like growth and like it making moves laterally, and then they both got older, you know, they in their early 40s, and they like want to get married and have kids, you know, they going into that transition, and then retail itself is going into a transition where like streetwear is kind of like dying, like Karma Loops are kind of like crashing down and becoming like a no thing, like this whole birth of like high fashion. Remember everybody started getting into like, you know, really getting back on their Louis and Gucci and doing all that. That lane started to come back in, and like high fashion and like that real like New York vibe, and like streetwear was still there, but streetwear changed to being like more elevated streetwear. Rocksmith was like at a transition point. So what they did was they took a buyout from a company where like a company called like SlamXHype.com, which was started by Seth Gersberg, who was one of the original founders of Echo Complex. He was Mark Echo's original investor and partner.
Okay.
So now, you know, he had a transition where he not doing the Complex Echo stuff no more. He trying to like grow this whole new media fashion platform, you know, a new complex that he got in mind. So, you know, he's using that company, his collaterals and his weight and resume to like buy out other smaller streetwear brands that are like starting to like die out or like hit a ceiling and stuff like that. So Rocksmith was one of them. So, you know, we joined forces with Slam X Hype. Their office was like, had a huge, crazy, fancy headquarters and like in the city of Manhattan. Our office was in Brooklyn. We moved from Brooklyn to like, you know, the office in Manhattan. But that was like an eye opener too, because they let go of our whole squad and only kept like a couple of the best people. You know what I'm saying? And so that was like a railroad thing all over again. I was like, oh, it's how it be. Like this how they do. They lay off, they let people go. But luckily, like they kept me on, and they made me like the marketing coordinator for like the whole thing. So I'm like, we got like a bunch of brands under us, and then like a media website. So we did that for like 2 years. I'm with them for like 2 years, going through that whole thing. And then, bro, literally out of nowhere, it was like a movie, like January. I just come to work January, like second week of January, and we all got let go. Everybody like off empty, like company filed bankruptcy for like 20 M's. Like, so everybody crap. Everybody got to go. No unemployment, no nothing. It's just done. Like figure out. It was like literally like getting off the elevator, and it's like go to your desk and just grab your stuff and get it in your box, and you're done.
That's worse than the railroad. There wasn't no unemployment, nothing. And you in New York.
Yeah, so I'm sick. I'm like, oh, I'm right back where the fuck I was not ever wanted to be at. I'm stressed. I'm like, you know, my living situation ain't proper, all that other type of stuff. So I'm like, man, what I'm gonna do? Like, I don't got like the proper bread, you know what I'm saying? This, that, and the third. So that was when I did my first major entrepreneur move. I was like, that's when dad hats was like popular, starting to come out. Everybody was like making dad hats. And like Kanye at the time, he had just started doing promo for his album, Life of Pablo. And he put out a song called Real Friends, which is like a single. It was a big single, Real Friends. I'm already like on my emo cancer, out of work, you know what I'm saying, going through my beginning of the year, kicking off January with no job, you know, all this. I'm like, tough time in my life. So the song come out, it just hit home. I'm like, man, because at that time I really had some real friends in my life, like Bugatti and Ben and all that, because they moved from Toledo chasing me with my dreams. I inspired them. You know, the homies came to New York too to get busy too. So
so y'all all was in New York together at this time.
By this time we all in New York and together. Ben came to New York probably like 3 or 4 years after I was there. Then Gotti came like I think like either right before or shortly after him or whatever. You know, we all on our own path or whatever. We rocking together. We, you know what I'm saying, chasing our dreams. The same way we was in Toledo, we carried that momentum you know what I'm saying, to New York or whatever. The ones who can move, moved. The ones who didn't, they stayed home but still kept repping. We still going. That's how I got the name on Instagram, Gnarly DB, because the name of my first company was Gnarly Style.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm like gnarly, like, you know, gnarly is like another explanation for like crazy, like, yo, this.
Yeah.
So I'm like, my life is gnarly. It's been a gnarly.
Right.
So
Right.
gnarly, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I'm like, he come out with the show Real Friends or whatever, and like a friend of mine, we sitting there talking. I'm like, man, I'm gonna do the dad hat. I'm gonna put Real Friends on the dad hat or whatever. And then it was like, you should put it on you should use the font from the show Friends. You know, they got
Mm-hmm.
the show Friends, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Use that.
Mm-hmm.
You put that on the hat with the real.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
boom, that's it. So I started a company. My first company was my second company was God Bless the Fresh. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like God Bless the Fresh, he's been in like control of my whole journey. Like everybody be talking about God bless this, God bless that, God bless the Fresh, because he done kept me in line through this whole thing. I'm doing all this off clothes. You get what I'm saying? This whole life I'm living off cotton, off clothes, off garments or whatever. So God bless the Fresh, whatever. So I created a website, and I put out a dad hat. Made $80,000 in like the first year. So that dad hat, off the dad hat, boom, took off crazy. Other companies was like knocking me off. That was like one of my first real big lessons is like intro. Like I didn't have like a proper LLC, proper trademark. So many different people was like knocking off my hat. I was still making my little money on the side, but I was getting ripped off, knocked off all over the place. But I was making like a little room in my hat, doing my thing, whatever. So then I'm living my life, just chilling. Going back to Machine Gun Kelly. Now Machine Gun Kelly, he gave my first styling opportunity. You know what I'm saying? He's technically the reason why Rocksmith picked me up, because they seen me styling him. You know what I'm saying? So they gave me that opportunity to come to New York and work for them. So without MGK, no styling. He was my first big client. No Rocksmith. So then fast forward to the Real Friends. I'm sitting there one day chilling. And Ashley, who was like Machine Gun Kelly, like sister, big sister / manager or whatever, she hit me up and she like, hey DB, like you still living in New York doing the fashion stuff, right? I'm like, yeah. Now during this time, I still be like messing with, still like close with Machine Gun Kelly, like through all my Rocksmith years, he'd have been a part of Slam Hype. I styled Machine Gun Kelly whole first album, you get what I'm saying? And then when he did General Admission, I did that album. I did like a whole collaboration with him. He did a bunch of like cross promotion stuff with Rocksmith. So our relationship is still going, but his career took off and he like living in California now. And I'm like living in New York, you know, but we just friends, but I'm not like his permanent full-time stylist like that anymore. You get what I'm saying? So, but I'm still cool with the family. You know, we still all family or whatever. And so they reach out to me. They're like, hey, what's up? Like, are you like still doing fashion? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, okay. They're like, well, his stylist at the time, this girl named Morgan, who's actually from out there. She went to Kent and all that. She from Cleveland and all that. She was also one of the assistants for the Yeezy team. You know what I'm saying? Kanye stylist at the time. She was like her assistant or whatever. But she's styling Machine Gun Kelly. You know what I mean? So she's like full-time head stylist for Machine Gun Kelly, but like assistant for like the stylist for like Ye and stuff. You know what I mean? So they MG Cannon reach out to me and they're like, hey, my homegirl Morgan, she was telling me us the other day like how they got to come to New York because Kanye about to do this big old show at Madison Square Garden for Pablo, Life of Pablo and all that, and how they could use like some hands. They're gonna do like a big thing where they're gonna do a blast and bring people in, but it'd be helpful if they just knew some people right off the bat, then she could just like be like, okay, yeah, we're gonna use that person. She's like, do you know anybody? They're like, yeah, my dude DB, you know, he do fashion, blah, blah, blah. You know, he used to work with us. He live in New York, holler at him. So she linked, you know, Kels and them people, Kels and Ashley linked me to Morgan. So Morgan come to New York. She like, you know, I meet up with her and, you know, the Yeezy team and all that. So for like a week, probably like 3-4 days, we spent our whole time building and prepping for the Madison Square Garden show for this. Now, at that time, remember, nobody even knew what was going on. We just knew he was supposed to have something crazy. But on my end, I'm seeing it because I'm like out in Jersey, I like this huge like warehouse airport hangar thing. We building the show, putting it together, all the clothes, organizing all the models. I'm going through that whole process. This is like me and like 20 or 30 other people. I'm a part of a team that got chosen to help do that or whatever. So I'm going through this whole thing and I'm like, wow, like this is the coolest shit I ever did in my life. Like this is the coolest thing I ever been a part of. Like, wow, this is Yeezy. Like this was like his first, you know what I'm saying? Like his third collection of it. The second collection never came out because, you know what I mean? And then he had did the first collection. So this is next big thing at like Madison Square Garden. I couldn't even believe that I was even being like a part of this whole process or whatever. So
right.
We do the whole thing, set up, the show come. We go to the show. He do the whole Madison Square Garden listening session there. I'm like, wow, can't believe all this. So that whole moment, come and go, boom, boop. You know, a whole setup, do the show, breakdown, go about my business. I got paid for the 2 weeks of helping, the week or whatever, helping with the show. And I was back to my normal life. But that just took me up to another way. I'm like, oh man. At that time, I'm thinking like, that's cool just to have on my resume. Like I helped work for the Yeezy show, like help set up. This is amazing. Like I done seen Kanye like face value right there. All these other people, you know, backstage at the show. That was like crazy, like compared to all the stuff I've been doing. You know what I mean? So that come and go, I go right back to my normal life, running my site, selling my dad hats, you know, making more colorways and t-shirts, you know, being a young entrepreneur, like selling these dad hats, paying my rent, my bills and all that. And then August, the show happened in February. You know, I go back to my life. And then August, literally, I wake up one morning and I got an email. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm using the bathroom. I got an email from an email I don't know. And like I got a bunch of missed calls and then an email. And it's like, hey, is this Darryl Brown? And I just responded to the email like, yes, this is Darryl Brown. And like, hey, it was Kanye stylist or whatever. Now, when I was helping set up for the Yeezy show, his stylist is a lady named Rennie Lou Padora. She was the head of everything. So we was all working under her or whatever. I'm just a hard worker, period, because I'm from the Midwest. Like we bust, you know what I'm saying? We
grinders.
Yeah, we turn a lot and you know, you know what I'm saying, out of nothing, you know what I'm saying? So the whole time we doing the show, I'm happy just to be there. So I was busting my ass with helping with that show. Like, you know, I'm not from New York in these big cities where they just take all that for granted. Not saying all of them do, you know, I ain't gonna diss New York, you know, big city kids or whatever, but it's a human.
It's different.
It's a human nature. They naturally just get relaxed because they just don't know how good they got it.
Right.
I was there. I was serious. I was like working. We working like 16-hour days, like, you know, setting up, prepping for that show and going through that whole process. So fast forward to to that August 26th to be exact, at 8 a.m. I look 2015, I get the email. I look at it. It's like, you know, is this Darryl Brown? This, that, and the third. I'm like, yeah. They're like, you still do fashion and all that? I'm like, yeah. You still live in New York and all that? I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, hi, I'm Rennie. Like, you was like a really hard worker at the show. Like, we really thought like you was like really on it, like grinding, hard work. You was quiet. You knew how to like be in a room but not be in a room. You know how it is, like celebrities and stuff, not be freaking out, acting all weird and take pictures and acting, you know, doing all that, fanning out. Like, act like you've been somewhere, you professional about it. You know what I'm saying? I'll probably be desensitized to that because working with Rocksmith, I'll be around rappers all day. Like, you know what I'm saying? And Rocksmith at the time, real quick backstory, Rocksmith at the time, they also, during the time I worked for Rocksmith, they were in control of the Wu-Tang license. So they were running Wu-Tang, but 100% in corresponding with RZA.
They had all the Wu wear and all that type of stuff, right?
All the Wu wear, we brought it back as Wu-Tang brand unlimited, but it wasn't like no knockoff Fugazi. We was like 100% in correlation, working with Power and RZA. They were all in the office. I met the whole Wu except for ODB, God bless the day. I met them all at a show in Brooklyn that we all got to go to and be all backstage and be in their dressing room and see them all and all that. Like, so fast forward, I was desensitized to like stars. So when I met Ye, even though he like my idol or whatever, I wasn't like flipping out. I was just like more so happy to like Cause I always been the type like, yo, I just want to grind my way up. Cause I was like, being that I'm not from a big city and I'm not all clicked up and I got all these like resources and connects, I'ma really just have to be like grinding my way up and get in a room on my own accord. Where they're gonna be like, yo, that's old buddy. He the boy now. Bring him through. It's not like they had to. I always thought like when I met Ye, it's gonna be like on common ground type deal. Like, he gonna be like, that's the only way I thought I could get to him. I was like, I'm gonna have to do something on my own to get to this level because I'm not super clicked up. Ain't nobody gonna like vouch for me to get to this point.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Never would have thought that I would have got to this point by machine gun Kevin. Like, you get what I'm saying? Throwing me the alley or something like that. So, they like, you still do fashion and all this other stuff. A position opened up. Ye at the time was like, he married, he having kids. It was his first time going back on tour in a long time, with the Pablo tour. His stylist also, Rennie Lou, she's an older woman too. Like, they don't got time. They basically like, they're not little no more. They don't got time to be like, she don't got time to be with him all day, every day. And then he married and all that stuff now too. They don't got time to be having people in his house. So he needed somebody like, okay, I need an assistant. Somebody that's like still young, fly, hip, but mature. Like, you get what I'm saying? They ain't gonna be out here getting caught up in all types of mess. And they're gonna be, and they can be around, and they're male too. So like a buffer in between like my wife and everything. Everything is cool, I gotta have like some young bad girl running,
Right. Yeah, 100%.
So they was like, we thought of you. You'd be the perfect person for this. I'm like, man. It was like,